And now the Council of Europe does not want British media, the British journalists, reporting if a terrorist is Muslim. This comes in a new report from the European Commission against Racism and Intolerance. The chairman said, quote, "It is no coincidence that racist violence is on the rise in the UK. At the same time, we see worrying examples of intolerance and hate speech in the newspapers, online, and even among politicians." The report also makes 23 recommendations to the British government, urging it to give, quote, more rigorous training to reporters on this issue. Joining me now, conservative commentator Gina Loudon, and we've got Democrat strategist Jessica Tarlov. Jessica, I mean, really telling reporters how to report the news?
No, I think it's problematic. I think, this came from a group. It didn't come from the government. We'll see how the government responds to this. I think it's a sound point to talk about the violence and hate speech and what that does. But I think that we got into a lot of this trouble actually by not talking about what's actually going on here. And this has backfired in America. What
do you mean?
Well, I think the fact that President Obama didn't call it Islamic terrorism from the beginning has fueled this issue a little bit more than it should have been. I mean, I'm not saying that we wouldn't have had the rise of Donald Trump for it, but this is certainly a point that he has used as part of this populist anti-PC movement. So I think that people should talk about the realities of what's going on. We're facing a threat from radical Islamic terrorism. That's a fact.
You know, Gina, it's sort of like the president consistently underestimates the intelligence of the American people. We all know this is not a war on Islam. What we're saying to the Islamic peace-loving Muslims out there is that there is an issue within with Islamic terrorism. There's something happening out there that is perverting your religion. I think the president seriously underestimates the intelligence of the American people here. No, Gina?
Absolutely. And this is exactly why this sort of globalist ideology and accusing the victims who are the victims of terror in both the United States and Europe, it's this entire attitude that the Obama and Hillary administration seem to not be able to understand that is so offensive to those of us who sit in fear for our lives and our children's lives every single day. And this might be, maybe Hillary should look this over, this might be one of the reasons why she's not leading by 50 points as she thinks she should be, because she embraces this thought police mentality that isn't resonating with the American people.
I think you went a little far there, Gina. That's the kind of this globalist mentality. The truth of the matter is that Donald Trump, your candidate, is one of the people who misunderstood the situation by proposing a Muslim ban, which is what he's walked back now. But the fact that someone jumped to that actually speaks to President Obama's point. And also, we have to remember, this was a Bush policy. He was the first one to say that he doesn't want to tar the entire religion and didn't use the term.
But hang on, let's give Gina the final word. The 9/11 report has, a number of times, Gina, used the term, calls it Islamic terror. ISIS's title has Islam, the word Islam in it. I think this is a distraction, this whole fight, and it basically avoids the central problem, and that is there's something in the religion and also Sharia law that is slamming and brutalizing people around the world. Go ahead, Gina. I'm sorry, you got 10 seconds.
You're absolutely right, Liz, and we have to call it what it is. That's why I'm so glad that Mr. Trump has broken that wedge of silence that was there and has called it Islamic terror, because that's exactly what it is, and that's where our attention needs to focus.